Hey everyone, Martinello here from Above the Wreckage Studios in Toronto. Today's video is going to focus on Rekordbox and getting you set up to use your USB with CDJs. Now, Rekordbox is a pretty complicated program. It's very powerful. There's lots you can do with it. This video is going to focus on just getting you started, organizing folders, showing you where everything is and how you can set your settings on your USB so that when you show up to the club or you show up to the studio for a session, you can plug in and everything's there with no surprises and ready to go. So if you're ready, let's hop over to Rekordbox and get started. So the first thing we're going to do is come over here in the corner where it says Rekordbox, Preferences. And in our preferences, we're going to focus on analysis. And in here, we can set our analysis settings. So what is this? When I have music that I've downloaded in a folder and I move it over to Rekordbox, Rekordbox is going to analyze all the music that I put in. This is going to let me customize the analysis so that it analyzes the tracks the best way possible for me. A lot of this stuff and a lot of these settings I'm going to show you are very subjective. They're personal preference. I'm going to show you how I have it set up, how I like it. It might be a little bit different from you and how you prefer it. So that's why I said I recommend you go in, look at all the settings, and find what works best for you. So for me, I have my analysis mode set to normal. So what normal means is that when I put a track into Rekordbox and say the track is 128 BPM, it's going to take the average BPM of the entire track and it's going to set it at that and it will never change. If I choose dynamic, it's going to go through and analyze the track and it's going to look for peaks and valleys in the BPM. In dance music, typically the BPM stays the same from start to finish, but in other genres, it might be a little quicker in one spot. The breakdown might be a bit slower. That's when dynamic analyzing is best for. In dance music, I highly recommend using normal because there aren't a lot of peaks and valleys. The main difference is that you're going to see the BPM actually changing on your CDJ if you have it at dynamic. Like I said, normal is kind of where you want to be for dance music. This is also going to show me how to, or what it's going to analyze the BPM range between. Typically, dance music is between 70 BPMs and 180 BPMs. If you're anything outside of this, you can always adjust in the drop-down menu. But I think this is the stock one. I think this is how Rekordbox comes. Next, we're going to look at is the actual settings. So when I bring a song into Rekordbox, I can actually choose what it analyzes. Now, I have everything clicked off here, BPM, key, and the phrasing. You can choose vocal. I'm not using a paid version on this computer of Rekordbox, so I don't have that option. But if you do, I highly recommend you analyze everything. The other option that you have here is auto analyze. You can enable it. I recommend having it enabled. That just means that whenever I bring music over, it's going to just start analyzing stuff right away. If I disable it, it's just going to put the raw file onto the computer or onto Rekordbox, and then you'll have to actually ask Rekordbox to analyze it. So I just recommend, for the sake of ease, enabling that function is probably the best way to go. Next, we're going to click over to DJ System. Now, this is a really cool setting tab to open because in your settings here, whatever you set and save to your USB will transfer to a CDJ. So if you show up at a gig and the DJ before you might have completely different settings, if I plug in my USB, it's going to make the CDJ read straight off of that, and it doesn't matter what the DJ before me did. There are a whole bunch of different settings here. Again, for the sake of the video, we're keeping this one short and sweet. I recommend that you go in and figure out exactly what each and every single one of these do and find how it can best serve you. Now, one other thing I want to look at in general settings, because this is one that I get asked about a lot, you can actually change the waveform color, and you can see here, and I'll show you a little bit more later once I load an actual track in, that all my waveforms have a color to them. I prefer it. I just think it's visually pleasing. You can change it so that it's blue and that everything, just all the waveforms show up as one color. So under here, I have half waveforms and full waveforms. So basically what this means is once I load a track in here, you'll see at the top, this is a half waveform. You can have it so it shows both the top and the bottom of it. Again, this is a personal preference. I'm just setting mine to half waveforms. Now, this is a really important one that a lot of people ask me about, and it's important to know, the key display. So this is going to determine when it analyzes the track, is it going to show my key as an E flat minor, an A sharp, C sharp, whatever the track analyzes it to be, or I can have it show up alphanumeric, which some people are more familiar with the Camelot wheel, and it's showing up as 1A, 1B, 1C. Again, personal preference. I prefer classic. Again, you should do some research and find out which way best works for you. Now, one other thing that I get asked about a lot is when a track is analyzed incorrectly on Rekordbox. So what that means is if I look here at these little needles right here, these show me that each beat is analyzed properly, because on dance music, you want your beat analyzed right on the beat. So sometimes you might come in here and the beat grid could be completely off and it's set up funky. So the way that I change that is I put the needle right on the first beat. I come over here where it says grid, and this button right here says set the first beat of a bar to the current position. I click here and it's going to jump it right over here and it's going to analyze perfectly. Now, next thing, getting your music from Rekordbox onto your USB. So if I look over here on the left where it says playlists, I have a playlist already set up. This isn't my main computer where I have all my downloaded music and I organize my Rekordbox. So I have this one set up as just an example. But in here is where you would put all your folders, all your files, and you would organize everything. I highly recommend organizing everything as deeply as you can. That way when it comes to trying to find a song or you're trying to look for something specific, you know exactly where to look and you're not fumbling around and you're not running out of time. So once I plug my USB into the computer, it's going to show up here under devices. And this is my USB right here. If I click on this, it's going to show me all my settings and everything that I've set up previously. I'm going to do the drop down menu and I have all my playlists in here. Inside my playlists, I have other folders and folders inside folders and playlists inside folders. I've really done mine quite meticulous. I highly recommend that you do the same. Again, it is subjective, whatever works best for you. I just think that organization is very important and it'll help you out a lot in the long run. So to get my music actually over onto the USB, it's very simple. I just click the playlist that I want and I click and I drag it and drop it right on top of the USB. And you'll see down here, this number, this percentage here is showing me how quickly everything's downloading on. And if I click in here, you can see that the music is starting to come into the folder. Next, if I want to eject my USB, I'm going to have to wait until this analysis is done, and then I'm going to eject it right from here, where it says remove USB device. If I don't do this, I'm risking corrupting my USB by just pulling it out of the back of the computer, and you can't do it from your file here. If I click it, it's going to show you it couldn't eject because Rekordbox is using it. So once it is done, there it is. I'm going to eject, and you'll see my device is removed. I can now remove my USB from the computer. That's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you found it informative and you found it was helpful, I really appreciate a like, a subscribe, a follow, a comment. Anything goes a long way. Feel free to let me know in the comments any other videos that you might want to see, any other topics you might want us to talk about, and I'll do my best to make a video for it. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you next time.